We are back for this two-part series. It's kind of like, I might have to cut this one. It's kind of like those few Seinfeld episodes that were like two-parters, like the Cadillac part 1 and 2. And so like, that's kind of what this reminds me of. But we're going to do a two-part episode. So this is episode 102, continuing our conversation from 101, which was we were kind of just doing a little rapid-fire questions. What's the state of the industry? We're really picking Kathy's, genius of a brain she's got. And Savag, I know you have a few more questions in relation to just kind of the state of the industry. Who should you be looking at as far as who are the majority of buyers and sellers, what you should be doing as far as your local business, the state of AI. I mean, where do you want to start?
Well, I'm happy because I have some really good questions. My mom will actually be proud of me for once. But she doesn't know what marketing is. She thinks I work at Kroger or something. So let's start with, let's go with what we kind of finished off with in the earlier section in social media. Would you rather have 1,000 social media followers who love you, 100 leads right now?
That's an easy one for me because you guys know how I feel about social media on a personal level. So I would take the 100 leads a day, all day. I think that's something. I know you have a bunch of other questions on there, and not to steal your thunder, but like one of them is like talking about where is the best, or what's the best scenario when you have a hot lead. And Kathy, I want to ask you, if I had 100 leads per day and I'm sitting down having a cup of coffee with a couple of those, or on the phone, or whatever it may be, that to me feels a lot more personal. It feels like you're actually building a real relationship. I feel like that's something at the end of that meeting, you could call that person at least an acquaintance, someone that you have actually built. They understand who you are. You're not hiding behind a screen. It's very easy for all of us digitally to pump ourselves up and be more and show more than who we actually are. And so, long answer short, I would take the 100 leads a day, all day. Do you agree, Kathy?
Yeah. And here's why. A couple of points I want to make. First things first, if you gave me 100 leads and I were only so and I converted 50 of them at $6,000 a side, which California, you would laugh at that. That's $300,000.
Right. You're doing just fine.
So I'd rather have the leads. And as far as sitting down and having coffee, I've always said to agents, be a resource, not a sales pitch. Mm-hmm. And if you're resourceful and knowledgeable, and it doesn't mean you know everything, it means you're able to leverage and refer. I've always told agents, and this is a John Maxwell line, and I think you guys have heard me tell it before, but I love this story. John Maxwell had just started his coaching business, and he was having lunch with a friend, and at the end of the lunch, he said, who do you know that I need to be talking with? He didn't say, how can I build my coaching business? Do you know somebody I can sign up? He said, who do you know that I need to be talking with? And the guy said, you know what, give me a day and let me get back with you. And the next day he called and said, I've set up lunch for you and a good friend of mine, and he knows a lot about coaching, and I'd like for you to meet him, and gave him the time and the date. And he gets there, and it's John Wooden of UCLA. And he said he never stopped using that line because it was open-ended. It was big. Who do you know that I need to be talking with? So great. For realtors, that opens up much more than someone that wants to buy a seller house. Mm-hmm. And every person that's successful will tell you, you need to determine, am I going to be a transaction realtor, meaning I don't care what service I deliver, I'm just going to say next every time? Or am I going to be the person that says, I'm going to deliver the best service I possibly can under the circumstances that we have, so that you tell a friend, family member, coworker, anyone you know, that I'm the person.
Which goes back to if you guys listened to our previous episode, which talks about the generational wealth you were bringing up, Kathy, is you're marketing yourself for the future homeowners, for the sons and daughters of those people, for whoever, the nieces, nephews. I mean, that's you have to be thinking about the long game.
And I want to go back to a point that Savag made in previous episode, and he was talking about that generational referral of my grandparents used you, and my parents used you, and my brothers and sisters. That's still true, subject to your market. But one thing that we can't ignore with the new generation is reviews, because it's important who grandmama used. And she's going to gift me my down payment. And I'm still going to scratch and sniff. I still want to know what other people have said.
I mean, it's also a level of, I'm probably not the best example of this, but friends, family members, think about when, I mean, you and I know this, we have coworkers when we go out as a team that we'll go on Yelp before we go to a restaurant. Right. and they look at all the reviews and they look at the pictures and they read what people are, and I mean, it's people do it when they purchase Q-tips on Amazon. And so that's something to think about on obviously a grander scale, because this is arguably the largest transaction that anybody's going to do ever in their life.
I love where this is going.
Please piggyback off of what I just said. Yeah,
I'm going to answer the initial question myself between leads and followers. Obviously, I'm going to choose 100 leads because I go back to Vincent Tracy's compound effect of what can happen. And you look at that, and if you've been to any of our conferences, you've seen him with his yellow piece of paper and going through that. But at the same time, those 1,000 social media followers, they're not going to do much for you, but that doesn't mean you stop your marketing.
Totally.
That doesn't mean that you're not trying to show yourself as a resource. It's a good thing to stand out, but show why you're standing out. What is the difference maker, and don't copy what other people are doing, because that's not being a difference. That's just saying that your career choice was probably a bad one. To do this the right way, you need to cover it all. Be planned out. I'm very pragmatic about everything, but you don't have to be as deep into that. But just have a plan. Be thoughtful. Look at it overall. Try to have some clairvoyance as much as possible to see if you did put this in action, what is the cause and effect. And then to the thing of reviews, everybody does a Google search. Over 90% of transactions and start with a Google search, and about 93%-ish start out with looking at people's reviews. That's why things like Rate My Agent is critical and important. And again, I'm going to plug our own company. This is our podcast. We offer that to our real estate professionals.
Yep.
Having things like we do with our One Tool Chest with our One Design Creative Studio, that's important. Having resources available to you, like you have Reminder Media and other vendors in there that are critical to having that outreach and elevate and increase your compound effect on those 100 leads.
Right.
Because you're putting them into your OneSuite and your CRM to be organized, to be able to go through that. You can't do that with 1,000 social media followers, because God knows if they're going to see your content or not. But you can guarantee being in front of everybody if you're organized, you have things structured, and you have a plan to be in front of those people with a touch point.
I agree with everything that you said. I will sum up.
Make it a t-shirt.
Yeah, no, I could sum this up on a t-shirt. It's the Savag system.
Hashtag.
Savag is saying he will take the 1,000 leads, but you should also you'll take the 100 leads, but you should also have the 1,000 followers. I think that's what you're saying. And I agree with you, because having a presence on social media, as much as I hate to say it, it brings legitimacy in this day and age, but it cannot be your end all be all. And I think that's what it needs to be one aspect of it. You need to show your personality, how your business operates, who you are from a digital perspective.
You spend hours and time curating your social media, making sure your Instagram looks good, and
that's a waste of time.
Giving the same respect to your business growth and actual operational elements that are going to put bread and food on the table for you.
Yeah, is the whole point I was trying to make, is like, how do you then balance all of those things and balance your time? And it sounds like you need to pick up the phone and have Savag build out a system for you, because he's really good at this. And then at that point, Kathy, I want to use an analogy really quick and tell me if this makes sense. It's kind of like when you get in your car and you have to drive somewhere new for the first time, and you have your directions on your phone, and you maybe leave a little early because you're not sure where you're going to park, and you're kind of driving a little slow. You might be like, both hands on the wheel, just because you want to know. You make sure you're going to the right place. You're doing it right. After a week or two of you driving to that place, it becomes second nature. You have a cup of coffee in your hand. You're on the phone. And so it's kind of like that for your career, is you really need to build your systems in place. And then once you start to do it, it'll just become second nature. Is that fair?
Yeah. And you want to make sure that what you're doing isn't only going to cover your Starbucks budget. It's also going to cover your daily expenses.
Yeah.
And put some more money in you to grow your business, like we do at Realty One Group.
Well, I think it's also just common sense of how much money are you actually making if you're putting 30 hours a week into building your online presence on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, what's the ROI on that?
I love this, because Kathy has a really good program that outlines all this for you. And the one coaching is I've sat in some of those, it's like, hot damn, it's exposed right in front of you. And I've seen people's eyes just pop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kathy, do you want to elaborate on it a little bit?
Yeah, I just, it's the set it and forget it. There's certain things you can do through tools and resources that we provide that you don't even have to think about. It's like that drive to work that you get there and go, how did I get here?
Yep.
I don't remember passing that. And they're the things that are just sprinkling, right, constantly. So you're top of mind. And it's still direct mail. It's still newsletters. It's still market updates. It's still landing where someone needs it at the time they need it. And all that time, you need that digital presence. So I think the key is the consistency of what you're doing. And that's why you've got to have those systems in place. I've seen realtors go through the feast and famine where they farm and they get all these listings and they go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate. I'm so lucky. I'm so successful." Everything goes under contract and they're like, "Oh crap, I'm out of business." Because if they're not constantly planting when they're reaping, they hit the famine. And you've got to have systems in place so when you get busy, when you have family things and business things, it's constantly working for you. And you got to ask for business.
Yeah. You want to pivot
Sure.
to our favorite subject,
Which is what?
we were only talking about for 2 years, 2+ years. Okay, with pivoting to AI, and I just want to preface this because there's a lot of misconceptions and bad stats going around. Google's not dead. Google is getting stronger.
Yeah.
Google's database is getting stronger. The searches are slowly growing on AI, which are creating what they call these zero-click searches, where somebody does a search on AI, they don't even go to the homepage of a person or that
We briefly
business.
talked about this with Tyler from Socratic.
Yeah. So they're getting all their information there. So what is critical to that, and what is the biggest play right now with AI is putting your content out there, whether it's written, video, or as I've been saying recently too, engagement marketing, and going on to community events and making sure that you get a call out, because when they publish that, the AI is going to look for those resources. When you go on Reddit, which is a messaging board, there are a lot of real estate questions on Reddit. 41% of AI answers are coming from Reddit.
So also take that with a grain of salt for people that are living and dying by these different chatbots, because a lot of your answers that you are thinking are correct are coming from
Other people.
Well, it's an opinionated forum. So just keep that in mind.
Validate.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy. Is we all need to be the greatest editors and validators now. That is the name of the game.
So what the next step with that is, they're going to go, you're looking, the traditional funnel has shifted. And what the next step is going to be that validation, that research phase of their journey. So we talked about, people are going to look at those reviews and they're going to look you up. They're going to do a search for you, and it's going to bring up your website. It's going to bring up your YouTube channel. It's going to bring up what community affiliations you have, organizations that you're volunteering with and you're appearing with. All that, everything needs to be, you need to put more focus on it and make sure that your brand, your name is imprinted everywhere with AI. And with the role that it has in the growing with every day to day, I'll finally get to my question after this long rant. It was very good substance, everybody. I want everybody to know, and rewind if you need to listen to all that again, because content is still important. You being on Google is still important. You having a website, doing everything things the right way is important. So I think I just answered my own question. What's the role of AI in a growing real estate business?
Yeah, you answered your own question.
And is it a game changer?
Yes.
Well, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, to elaborate on what you said and kind of to bring back what we were saying about how your digital presence is not the end all be all, but there's now another layer to it. Whatever you put out online to promote yourself or your business is now being run through all of these different versions of AI when someone is potentially searching for you or your local market or the brokerage that you hang your license on or whatever. And so it is just, I think to your point, Savag, it's another layer to just merely think about. And so when you're building your own personal content, that's something that should be in the back of your brain is, all right, how do I show up on ChatGPT? How does my business show up on whatever the other AIs are? I think, is that fair to say?
Yeah. And you look at another examples, we had them on an episode, the two gentlemen from
Yeah.
Coastal.
Yeah. I was thinking about them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. 100%. Which I can't remember the episode off the top of my head, but Kathy, what's the Coastal. That's right. Realty One Group Coastal. And it's a few episodes back, and definitely listen to it. Like
they have a YouTube channel, very successful. Large chunk of their transactions come from there, and they do it all on their iPhone.
And they're two guys that are, I don't mean this offensively at all, but like they're not in their 20s.
That's
And
what they said. They know
and they've
their audience.
mastered, they've
Yeah.
mastered this new version of marketing and tech. That once you, going back to my driving analogy, once you figure it out, it is so easy to do.
Be the
I
mayor.
think the key to any of it, and I want to go back to what you said and where I know Savag's heart is, it's in knowing your numbers. And you're not just throwing it up against the wall thinking, I hope this works. It's monetizing. And what is the ROI? If those guys know their audience well enough to know they're going to be on YouTube. They know who's watching, what time. And I feel like a lot of agents, and again, I'm going to go back to that celebrity. So what if you've got 100,000 followers if you're an entertainer and not a professional offering services that people refer? I'm going to go back and say this, and I agree with everything. And it just, to me, exemplifies and it validates you have to be in all places. 86% of consumers say, I would use my realtor again. I was so delighted with the process that I would tell friends, family, and coworkers. Yet right now, 16% of not top producers, but those in production say that less than 16% of their business is repeat and referral business. Yeah. So you've got a 70% gap of people that are not being reached by anything, and they're not using their realtor again, and they're not referring them because they can't remember how to find them.
Right.
And to me, the blessing of what social media and all of this has done is it should be closing that gap. It's not yet. Mm-hmm. But it should be. And again, if 86% of the people would use you, the average move in the United States is less than 16 miles. That's a big deal where you guys live. It's not in a lot of the United States.
Yeah.
Meaning that I can help you move 16 miles from where I'm sitting. But I just need people to talk about me. I just need them to say favorably, use this realtor.
Kathy, you bring up a good point where I think is there a lack of effort? Because why are so many agents missing the mark on 86% of clients saying I would use them again?
I have a theory.
Go ahead.
Could be a mindset, not everybody. Instead of showing that they're the right real estate professional for that person, they're thinking, is this person good enough for my next Instagram reel?
Celebrity.
I do think there's a level of
the focus is different.
Yes, and there's a weird new. I mean, it's been here for decades now, but there is this new obsession with almost like my digital presence is separate from who I am as a human being in real life.
Right.
And that's always pissed me off for a number of reasons because to me it doesn't feel genuine.
Right.
You know, no one's ever going to post something negative from their life on Instagram, or I don't know, maybe people will, but you kind of get what I'm saying is it's like it doesn't feel genuine, but yet people emphasize and put so much effort into it. And I guess the ROI is not necessarily a monetary value. Maybe it's
ego.
It's ego. Maybe it's clout,
it is.
You know, yeah.
And it's a complicated answer. And this industry is so data driven, yet 70% of realtors are emotional decision makers. And what I mean by data driven is everyone listening to this podcast, go to your broker right now and ask this question. What is the average tenured time of a homeowner in this market? In the U.S., is 4 to 6 years, which means if I'm going to wait for that seller or buyer to use me again as a referral, I'm going to have to stay in front of them for 4 to 6 years. Now, the other part of that data is the satisfied buyer or seller over that same period of time, actually over a 36-month period, will refer 3 leads to that realtor if they ask for it. The problem, to answer your question, is not only are we not staying top of mind 4 to 6 years for that tenured time in the home for the resale, we're not even touching them for 36 months, which is what the FIT program, what Luke Aker talks about with Reminder Media. You got to remind people, and realtors just don't have good enough systems and aren't engaging in what's provided. And I'm stepping on everybody's toes. You know, I would go the same conversation of, do you think this is a process or an event? And they would say it's an event. No, it's a process. And let me tell you a couple of things that are going to happen. Number one, you're going to encounter a lot of people during this process who may be interested in buying or selling a home. My job is to expose this property to as many people as I can to get the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. Your job, every time I talk to you, is to tell me people that you have come in contact with who may need my services. So I'm going to end every call with, who do you know that I need to be talking with? And immediately they know what their job is.
Kathy, I was literally just thinking it's like to try to put it in a scenario for like, let's use Savag and I as an example. One, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the effort of staying in front of someone for 4 to 6 years is actually that much, right? You have to think about major holidays, maybe their birthday, maybe the date that they moved into that house, and that's it. You get them a couple gifts, you send a couple letters, that's it, right? So let's say Savag and his wife used an agent when they bought their home a couple years ago, and that agent has stayed in front of Savag for the last couple of years doing exactly what I just said. Now, when I go to buy a home in a year or two, the first person that I'm going to pick up the phone and call is Savag. And I'm going to say like, hey man, I know you've spoken very highly of your real estate agent. Like, can you put me in contact with them? And Savag and I aren't related. We work together. We're friends, but and that's exactly what would happen. That's what I hope will happen soon.
Okay, let me pull that trigger quicker. I want to get to the point as your realtor that you go into the hub and you go, hey, you know what? We're thinking about pulling the trigger. We're thinking about looking for a home. And he automatically says, whoa,
Yeah.
you need to call Kathy.
Yeah.
And see, that's taking the hope out of it and really making it a plan. But you've got to set that expectation. Here's the mistake realtors make. If you don't walk away with anything else, a lot of realtors think, you know what, I'm going to do a great job, and at the end of this transaction, I'm going to ask for a referral. Holy moly, you may not even like them. And they may not like you at the end of the transaction. You need to ask for it at the beginning. When you sign the buyer agreement, when you sign the listing agreement, you need to say, here's my job. This is your job. Because when they're in the honeymoon phase, you're going to think about this. I list my home with you, Josh, and I go to work, and what do? Man, I've been cleaning all freaking weekend. We just listed the house. And everybody in my work environment is going to go, really? We were thinking about doing that. Mm-hmm. See, if I wait until the closing, I've missed whatever that period of time is for opportunities for referral.
Go ahead.
Going back to user behavior after going through that process, what are they going to do? Then they're going to like, who the hell is this person? And don't have, if you're the agent or if you're a broker, don't have a picture of your majority of your content being you and your Corvette going down to the beach.
I mean, yeah, this goes back. We could talk story brand right now if you want.
Oh yeah, because that's what it's going to. You need to show yourself, even if it's your personal life. When you have a majority of that, and it's optics matter, the messaging, the visual messaging matters. And if you're in your Corvette or you're always majority of your content is you and your family always on vacation, that kind of serves counter to you being the broker always available for the agents in your office and being there for their growth, because it looks like you're just growing yourself.
Totally. I completely agree.
True story. And I won't name the company, but there was a big marketing company that used to come in before social media, and they would do these workshops. They would go into every city and do workshops, and it was expensive, but man, it was absolutely spectacular marketing that you signed up for. It was very customized, very beautiful. And the example they used of what not to do was a guy standing on the back of this big ass boat that had like 3 engines across the back. And the name of the boat was Your 6%. And he said, if you go out and you put yourself in front of your big car or in front of whatever, you may as well put this on your marketing. And I'll never forget that guy. That was probably 25 or 30 years ago, but it made such an impression of you see yourself as successful. Other people see you as
Yeah. Like this, you just paid for my kids' tuition, you know, like that's not what they want to see.
I mean, you go to see what the environment is like today too, because there's a lot of shifting, there's a lot of compression, as Kuba likes to say, and the different changes. And now more than ever, I feel like, and everything that I've learned is where you should be showing that you are the difference maker. Mm-hmm. You can go into the story and how you can tell the story that you've been successful with your business and your current real estate professionals in your office and how you've elevated them, and the business has elevated along with them, and everybody has reaped the rewards. They are able to represent and be part of a brand that provides them all the success tools that they need, without any of the hidden BS. And they have the business freedom. These are all things that, from what I've learned the past week, is there's going to be a lot of shift and a lot of people thinking about what's their next step and what is their mental focus going to be and their business focus. And one thing, Kathy has told me this, and Pat Kelly has said this to us too, is when you go down to the period of time where it's the end of the year, and then you get into the beginning of the year, and you go home, and the spouse goes, "How much did you make last year?" And then they look at that, and then they say, "Wow, I thought you made more money than that because your commission should have been this much." Well, I had to give X amount to my broker. That spouse is probably gonna go look at that broker's Instagram account and be like, "Okay, where's my money going to?" Well, that's my vacation.
This couple should also be in therapy because it sounds like they're not communicating very much throughout the rest of the year.
Whatever the case may be. So that's a period of time that is coming up right now. And they're analyzing what they're earning, they're not really keeping, and what they're getting for what they're not keeping is not really in line to what the current market is and the current trends are with consumer behavior.
I totally agree with everything you said. I think we could do a third part episode, which we should. I really love, actually, no offense to any of our guests, because I've loved the 100 guests that we've had, but this was fun. Like, just the three of us, and it feels, I don't know, I'm a little bit more relaxed, I feel like. The last thing I want to say before we wrap this up, to kind of bring this all together, and Kathy, we've talked about this briefly, and I feel very strongly about this, and I've also seen interviews with Sam Altman, who founded OpenAI, which is the parent company of ChatGPT, and he believes that there's going to be, as we go through this AI revolution, there's going to be a want and a need for even more for things that are not AI generated, for things that are genuinely created, manufactured, whatever, by a human being. And if you think about that from our industry's perspective, going back to, this is arguably the largest transaction that anybody does ever in their life, don't you want the human element on that more than anything else? And so I think about that from the perspective of, yes, we're going through an AI revolution. Yes, professionals should be using this to their business's advantage, but they almost should be excited at the fact that their responsibilities are something that a human being should always have.
Absolutely.
Is that fair to say?
Do you think, let me reframe that in a question. Do you think the lack of validation is going to create the lack of the consumer validating and getting caught in the trap of fake news is going to create more opportunity for the realtor to create value?
Yes, 100%.
There is going to be those people who hunt on the gullible and the naive. I think with what we've seen, and I've observed, just again, user behavior side of things, since ChatGPT became available more mainstream, the human brain and the human interaction has learned to adapt and start looking to validate it to the next step, even more.
You see what I do on a daily basis, the content that's sent to me. I mean, I'm good at this, but it's like, Kathy, people send me content every day, and I don't even have to read it now. I can just look for symbols, and I know that this was 100% AI generated.
The flow.
It's as simple as that. And so, to your point, Kathy, society's only going to get better at spotting bullshit, for lack of other words. And so, yes, there's going to be this even more want and need for things that are human created.
Well, and I think the lesson there is clarify your value and your message. Just be really clear about who you are and what you do.
I agree.
And also those people, AI is going to adapt and get smart too, but
Totally.
also those people using AI, and you could tell if they're lazy. They didn't take the time to customize it to be a genuine assistant to them and not a replacement of them.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, I don't want to steal any more of your guys' day, but
People are still folding laundry listening to us.
I have to go fold my laundry. Kathy and Savag, thank you as always. I really hope our audience, gains something from this. I'd love to do more episodes like this in the future. I'm very excited for some of the guests that we have coming up towards the end of the year, and just all of the different, we have Summit coming up in about a month, and it's going to be a lot of great content that we are pushing out as a team and a company.
Well, I was just going to say we've got some strategic partnerships coming up that are going to enhance everything that you're doing as a professional. And a lot of the resources that we've talked about on these 2 episodes are going to be available in person.
Yeah.
For you to have a conversation with, getting those systems set up and working for you at Summit.
Yep. So yeah, this is my only plug is it's not too late to get your tickets. We still have spots available. We still have hotels in some of our room blocks available.
It is late if you're listening to this after November.
Yeah. I mean, but it is.
By that time, you snooze, you lose. Sorry.
Yeah.
You missed out on a good time. We had great fun. You don't know what you missed, but you can find out.
And it's, like I said, it's an experience unlike any other. I'm not a real estate professional, but I've been with this company long enough and I've seen their perspective when they're at this event, and it's incredible. And I know the ROI they get from their business when they come. So it's a no-brainer. And we hope to see every single one of you that is listening or watching right now there.
If anybody's watching this on YouTube, just drop a comment. And who would you like to see? What would you like to hear? Who would you like to hear from? Mike Clear told me if we get 111 comments on this episode, he'll show up.
All right. There, you heard it first.
I put those words in his mouth.
That's a matter of who's still listening at the tail end of this episode. So.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're listening right now, and if we love you, we thank you, and we hope you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Perfect. Couldn't have ended it better myself. Thanks, Savag. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.